Hi, my name is Dr. Bernard Lafayette Jr., and this is my story. On July 19, 1940, I was born to the lovely Verdell and Bernard Lafayette in the bright Tampa, Florida sun. This was my home, and where I spent most of my days as a young boy. It wasn't until I reached my early 20s where I decided to move to Nashville, Tennessee, and enroll at the American Baptist Theological Seminary. I was only a freshman in college where I began to attend meetings at the Highlander Folk School to learn about social injustice and nonviolence while watching seminars from activist James Lawson. He was a well-known nonviolent representative during my time. I felt nonviolence was the proper tactic to use towards the South, who indeed wanted nothing other but to push social injustice on me, even as a young boy. I was very ambitious and also very much aware of the obstacles I could face for even considering promoting nonviolence. But I didn't let it frighten me, and I also did not let it dare stop me. So, it was the summer of 1962, where I had accepted a position with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, known as SNCC. I was offered the position to work in Selma, Alabama. In Selma, I traveled with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, known as the SCLC. We traveled there with the knowledge that in spite of the repeated registration attempts by the local African Americans, only 2% were able to vote. We wanted to change that narrative. It was here where I began to lead meetings talking about the conditions of African Americans in the South, while encouraging them to voice their experiences in the South. Experiences that dealt with them trying to vote and the notorious brutality of local law enforcement under Sheriff Jim Clark. We anticipated that our efforts would attract resistance from local law enforcement, but we needed to be there to pressure Lyndon B. Johnson and encourage him to enact a new national voting rights legislation. First month of the campaign progressed with little violence, but soon after, deaths of innocent demonstrators such as Jimmy Lee Jackson took place. In response, I, along with other civil rights activists, became a leader in planning the Selma to Montgomery voting march, symbolizing not only the long struggle for voting rights, but the lives lost because of it. The first attempt was horribly delayed by the incident on Edmund Pettus Bridge, where demonstrators traveled from Selma across the bridge and was stopped by state troopers and other law enforcement officials. When they had not met Major John Cloud's order to disband, he instructed his men to advance towards the marchers. Tear gas was thrown, and marchers were severely beaten and shot at, while white onlookers cheered. This triggered national outrage, and this day was known nothing other than Bloody Sunday. Those angered by the bloodshed displayed on TV, and many of the nation's religious leaders were called into march by Dr. King. But once again, avoiding another possible confrontation with state troopers, the marchers and I assisted King in a prayer and turned back, delaying the march once again. In March 1965, demonstrators submitted a detailed march plan to Judge Johnson, who approved our efforts, and with federalized National and Army Guard troops, our historical march was finally achieved. Marching with 300 of the permitted people out of the thousands more supporting, we marched to Montgomery. Our hard work had finally paid off, and it was glorious. We also had the Voting Rights Act of 1965 as proof later on. I had lived through it all, and I spent restless nights planning the development of the movement, symbolizing nothing other than the issues faced by black voters and people joining together and marching for what's right. And that was the beauty of it all.